Leftist discourse sucks right now. And when I say leftist discourse, I'm mainly swinging at like the really pedantic liberals who say shit like, hey, give Joe Biden a break. It's only been a couple months. He's way better than Trump. That's one form of it. Leftist discourse sucks because I think a lot of us expect the other people on the other side of our conversations, on the other side of what we talk about in threads, on the other side of what we consider to be acceptable conversational points, do this thing where they don't explain to people why they're being called a Nazi. Does that make sense? Ooh, almost lost a piece of an Oreo. You cannot in any way, shape, or form have a conversation with somebody and maybe the conversation is not political, but it's about maybe human rights, uh maybe it's about a social issue that's kind of been spilled into politics, something that puts you on at odds with somebody else because they're a conservative or they're using conservative talking points, etc. I'm not expecting the majority of the people to get this or to do this. But when you express an idea to somebody, you have to also remember that, as obvious as it is, and you might just be perfectly correct in this situation, and they might be spitting off a bunch of lies, a bunch of falsehoods. You need to also realize that you might be the only connection that person ever has truly with the left. Now, this doesn't mean you got to come correct. You got to show your facts. You got to do this. Again, this isn't a requirement. It just sucks because it gets dragged down into identity politics really quickly. You got to have certain things on deck that you know that they will look at to disprove what they're saying, because you're not arguing against them. You're arguing with the people who are on the outside, who are on the fence. Sorry. I'm not saying you have to I'm not saying you have to take social media seriously. Again, this is not a requirement. This is a request. Like, just do this a few more times. But you have to, when you get into a conversation with somebody and you can tell that they've been programmed to think a certain way or that they believe certain falsehoods that really, like, you have to make them understand that what they're saying is dangerous. You have to take their speech and recode it so that way they know that they are causing harm by believing in those things as opposed to them just being wrong. Because they'll never believe that they're wrong, but they can believe, wow, what I'm saying is negative. And then leftists get together, or the liberals, and this mix of online left and big creators, small creators, and like the ability to converse ideas in a lecture style format, if you want to call it that. You got to remember that these people don't do that often. You got to remember you have to remember you have to remember that the world as it exists, I want to say, maybe doesn't have the same background as you. It doesn't have the same knowledge as you. So while it's easy because you've been sitting there looking at like the actual evidence that they provide and you're debunking it, you're not expressing that out loud to people. You're not expressing that. You're expressing your opinion or your stance as the culmination, as the summation of all the stuff you've looked at. And a lot of right wingers are old people who don't have the ability to absorb that much new information. You are young. You can tell that this is bullshit and that the system needs to be flipped. They are old. They are never going to agree with you or change their stance based on your feelings on the situation. It's easy to say, yeah, that was debunked a long time ago. And they're going to have the common retort. Oh, by your fact checkers? Okay, flip the script then. Show me what you're talking about. They're going to send you a link. It's probably going to be some dumb shit. Point it out here and be like, see, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I could see where you got there, but I'm letting you know right now, if you have that conclusion based on this evidence, you yourself are lying to yourself and therefore lying to other people when you talk. Shut them down. But leftists seem to do this thing where they sit on this high moral horse. And they act like everybody has the same thought pattern. And if you're not on that train, you know how many people I've seen online say, delete me if you don't think like that. Delete me if you think this. Like, your entire identity is about who surrounds themselves in your ideologies. Oh, the right says, they're free thinkers, but they just parrot everything the mainstream media says. Yeah, well, you kind of just parrot the converse and don't go anywhere from there. Are you going to sign up to run for office one day? Are you going to have a leadership position? No, then you are not an authority. You are just as equal to the situation as they are, even though what they're saying is bullshit. Because the person you're talking to also thinks the same. You have to exit that style of discourse. You have to exit that style of conversation, or else you come off pompous, or else you come off like a dick. Even though what you're saying is morally, objectively correct, like, trans people should have rights, and I don't know why like that type of shit. People hear that part and they're like, I don't know. That's not what I was raised to believe. That's not what I believe. Why should I sit there and listen to you? Because you're on some moral high ground about how everybody deserves like this and that? Well, if everybody gets that, why don't we give them free this? And why don't we give them that as well? They're not going to honor the integrity of the conversation. So you have to set them up to fail themselves. That's how you break through that. If your goal is to change their minds. If not, which it should not be most of the time, because like I've said before, if you're dumb enough to believe in a lot of the shit that comes out of right-wingers' mouths, generally I'm not going to consider you available to even receive this information with an open mind. But you can't be the other side of the conversation and not say, where did you get that from? So I could tell you the history of that place and why you probably shouldn't believe in them. It will stick with them longer, and they will start to mistrust things that bad faith actors say out loud if they start noticing the inconsistencies. Yo, man, you didn't change my mind in that, but I started watching Steven Crowder, like actually listening to what he was saying and like going through it with like the nuance that you provided, and I realized, yeah, he really is a piece of shit. It's not like I don't agree with him on things, but like there are things that I could see where I get the point of what he's saying, but like he does it in a way where I wouldn't want to be associated with him. Then people start leaving that camp. Leftist discourse sucks because now inside the leftist camp, there are people who have, you got to go all the way with it, or you can't be happy with this little bit of success, or we have to have this, or it's canceled, or this, or you're out of here, or this, or it's canceled. Like, and it's like, I see it when I like go into certain leftist spaces. I see it in every space, really. But like, then I watch panel discussions and I'm like, it's great that you guys know how to talk. And it's great that you have facts when you're countering right wingers. Or it's great you have like feelings and like you're able to dictate yourself in a proper motion when talking to other leftists in a panel. And you can get down to the nitty gritty on an idea. But none of y'all are changing each other's minds. You're just all presenting information and saying, but wait, you just said. Discourse is not a conversation. Discourse is a leveling of ideas to aim to one like goal. It's almost debate, almost conversation. Conversation's a lot more relaxed. You guys are having conversations, calling it discourse, centering your identity around how many likes you get for the comments that you make, and to prove, oh, enjoy this ratio. Like I'm not saying again, remember, everything of what I'm saying is in specific cases. You do not have to do this 100 times. You can do this literally like 10 out of 100 times, 1/10 of the time. This is a very specific moment type of conversation. But just be better, please, because that shit is annoying. And it's wild. It's wild because you know. Like, you're listening to Rage Against the Machine, and like, I love Rage. I'm also sure I wouldn't get along with any of the members. I think they're very talented, and listening to their music gets me pumped. You can interpret art differently than the creator intended, and I can enjoy the art while disagreeing with its intended message. Feels like it's off topic, right? But it's not. Yo, you cannot view specific targeted message. Like, there's that song talks about killing black people. I don't agree with that, but I really like the riff. Like, yeah, but the song is specifically, everything is geared towards making that message clear. How do you not get what Rage Against the Machine was? So what machine did you think they were raging against? Like seriously? The correct attitude is to have bands like to have about bands like Rage Against the Machine is to continue enjoying their music and never give a crap about their politics ever. Bro, the music is politics. What the hell did you think Killing in the Name of was about? Testify. Like, what did you think it was about? I suppose if you never listen to any of the lyrics of the song, then sure. Art is made with purpose and not just a commodity. Denying the meaning of art is pretty embarrassing. Like, yeah, cops are bad. I think cops are great, but I love Killing in the Name of. Like, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses.